Hello guys, so I'm here to tell my story of how I lost my DD twins. They're called the dynamic diagram twins. I'm not very good with pronouncing the word, but I just want to tell my story about what happened, and and I know it's other people out there that experienced what I experienced or something similar to what I experienced. And I just want to say my love goes out to you mothers. Stay strong and keep the memories forever. Okay, so I want to start off by saying in December 2022, well, it was actually December 31st of 2022, I took a pregnancy test and it came back positive. So I went to the hospital, and to my doctor's appointments, they told me and confirmed that it was twins. So my pregnancy was going good up until 4 months of my pregnancy. The beginning of like the first trimester, I was constipated really, really bad. And but my pregnancy was still going good. Both of my babies still had a heartbeat. They were still growing. They were still healthy. So as of as of March 2023, I was 4 months pregnant, and I went back to my hometown and visited my family. And I really went to handle some business, but I was visiting them as well. So my nieces and nephews came over to my hotel with me and my daughter. And I was laying down. We ate. We was playing around. So I laid back down because my stomach started hurting really, really bad. And I got up and I went to the bathroom. When I went to the bathroom, I had to do number 2. Mind you, I'm so used to being constipated. So I was sitting on the toilet trying to do number 2. I did number 2. I did like one little round. I'm not trying to, it's a lot of information, but I did like 1/3, okay? I did 1/3, and then I started peeing. And as I'm pushing the turd out, it felt like if I felt 2 things coming out of both ends. Like I felt something coming out of the front end that you make the baby, and I felt something coming out of the end that you release all your toxins. So I felt things coming out of both ends, and I stopped pushing while I was on the toilet. I stopped pushing, and I'm like, I sat there and think to myself, something's coming out of the front part too, and I am pregnant. So my niece was about to get in the shower, so she came into the bathroom and she was like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I feel something coming out of both ends." She like fell down there. I'm like, "No, I'm scared." So I wipe the back part and I get up and I walk over to the bed to lay back down, and a whole gushing of water came down and my water broke. I screamed, "Oh, my water, that's my water, that's my water." So I just stood there in shock for a couple of minutes. Then I called the ambulance, and they took me over to the hospital, and they was like, my water broke. So I stayed into the hospital for a couple days. I stayed into the hospital, and I got released, and I went back home to where I stay at. And once I got back home, I went to the hospital. They checked me out, and my doctor seen that my baby's her name is Dream. Dream's umbilical cord was in my cervix. So she sent me back home with antibiotics to take, and I went straight home and I laid down. And so once I got home and laid down, I woke up and I felt very weird. And I'm like, maybe because I didn't eat, so let me order me some food. So I ordered me some food, and I got my medicine delivered to me, but it didn't come until later that day. So I woke up and I ate, got my medicine delivered to me. And when I was about to eat, I couldn't finish my food. Like, I felt so weird. Like, my blood sugar, my blood pressure was up or something like that. I felt so weird. But when I went to the doctor's appointment that morning, they said my sugar was low. So they gave me some apple juice at the doctor's appointment. So when I woke up, I ate. I couldn't finish my food. I still felt weird. So I called the ambulance. My stomach started hurting a little bit, and I called the ambulance, and they took me over to the hospital. They got me admitted into the ER. They checked me out, and then they took me straight upstairs to labor and delivery, guys. This was the most scariest, traumatizing, painful experience I ever experienced in my life. So I got up into labor and delivery. The doctors was coming in and out of talking to me. You know, they was telling me what's the process. It looked like, they was like telling me that it looked like I had, and well, they was coming in talking to me and everything. So after they came in and talked to me, I was just laying on the bed, you know, crying, upset, thinking to myself, you know. So they was like, we have to take both babies out and not one. So I'm like, the doctor sent me home on antibiotics so I could try to save baby B, because he was still healthy. He was still, you know, growing. Once I got to the hospital and they put me up to labor and delivery, they said they didn't see no heartbeat. So a couple minutes later, I'm still laying on the bed, you know, thinking to myself, crying, upset. I got up and used the bathroom, and I wiped myself, and I felt something hanging. So when I looked in the mirror, it was something hanging, and it was my daughter Dream's baby A umbilical cord. And her umbilical cord started to hang out. So I called the doctors back, and they checked me, and they was like, yes, that's her umbilical cord. We're going to get you set up into a room, and we're going to have you deliver the babies. You have two options. We can do it as an abortion way, where we can just go in and suction the baby full out and you won't meet them. Or you can have an option to see your babies, hold your babies, vibe with your babies. And I choose to push my babies out and spend time with my babies. So after that, they get me into the room. You know, they gave me some medication to go into labor. I went into labor. When I got into labor, they was called someone in to give me an epidural. The epidural, when I even got the epidural with my daughter, it did not work for me. Like, I still feel the cramps, maybe because I moved during my epidural because I was so terrified. I was moving and I still felt the contractions. So yeah, the doctors came in, and then after I got the epidural, a couple minutes later, it was time for me to push. So as I'm pushing, I'm like telling the doctors, I feel something coming down, because the doctors were just in there talking to me. So I'm like, I feel something coming out of my vagina. She was like, okay, yeah, it's time for the babies to come out. So by the time I said that, baby A done slipped out. And then that's when I asked the doctors, I'm like, hey, can you move the baby A? Because she was just letting baby A sit right there waiting on baby B. So she moved baby A, put gloves on and moved baby A. And then baby B came out a couple minutes later. Once they came out, they had to rush me into the OR room because they stated that the umbilical cord didn't come all the way out and I was bleeding a lot. So all I remember is them getting me prepped for the OR. Mind you, I had 2 DNCs, and one in 2016 and one in 2020, and I was put to sleep. So I did not know what the process was, but this process this process that I just had with my twins, they kept me woke. So all I remember is laying on the table, different nurses coming in, different doctors. They said I'm losing a lot of blood. They started giving me blood. People was poking me, like giving me needles here, giving me needles here, giving me needles here. People was talking to me here. One doctor was holding my hand because I was so scared. Another nurse came in and was just like, we're trying to help you so you won't die. She was like, you don't want to die, do you? And I'm like, no, I don't. So I started getting very terrified on the table. all I could do was close my eyes and was just praying to God. And after the procedure was done, I started throwing up. Well, I threw up in between the surgery. I was throwing up. And come to find out that I was probably throwing up, it was really brown. So that's why I asked the doctor. I'm like, am I throwing up blood? It was like, no, it's not blood. You're fine. So maybe it was because they was giving me extra blood as I was losing blood during the DNC. So they gave me that, and the supervisor was coming in. They was calling different doctors, and it was like over 6 doctors in that room with me, and I was terrified. I was terrified. So they moved me back over. They had me hooked up to things, you know. I couldn't walk. I couldn't eat in the hospital for like 4 days. I had my babies in the room with me the whole time. So once I left out the OR, I was shivering real bad. I was so under the influence. They gave me so much medicine, guys. They gave me so much medicine. Once I was done, they was trying to slide me over to another table, and the doctor was like, put your hands like this. And I was telling her like my arm couldn't go down. I only could put my arms like this. And I guess that was the medicine. And I was shaking really bad, and I was asking her like, hey, is this from... am I about to have a seizure? And she was just like, no, you reacted to the medicine. So once I was done, I went back into the room with my babies. They moved me to a different room where I could just relax and chill with my babies and be hooked up to the machines. I couldn't eat, I couldn't walk, things like that. And yeah, I would never forget going through that. I wouldn't want to go through that ever again. And yeah, it makes me so emotional thinking about it, y'all. And I don't really want to get emotional in here, but yeah, I'm just glad I was able to hold my babies, love on my babies, and carry my babies to 4 months. And yeah, I thank you guys for watching. Yeah, and hopefully I will be back with another video soon. I love you guys. Yeah, so I had got my babies cremated, and yeah, that was the most traumatizing, heartbreaking situation ever. It was terrifying, and I seen heaven before. If you guys haven't seen my other videos that I have in my link, go check them out, because I have seen heaven before. So I know my babies is resting peacefully, and I know once I make it there again, I will be able to spend time with them. Yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys about that experience. Mothers, if you out there and you experience something like this, I pray for you, and I want you to pray, and just never forget your babies, and every memories that you have with your babies, just keep them, keep them, keep them. Yeah.
Wait for you. No, heaven could. Can't stand to see you leaving, but heaven couldn't wait for you. No, heaven could. Can't stand to see you leaving, but heaven couldn't wait for you. No, heaven could. Can't stand to see you leaving.
Alright, to cry sometime. It's gonna be okay, gonna be fine. We all gotta leave someday. That's the scariest thing.
Missing you. I'll find a way to get through. This you say